I mean,
Yes.
I've had random experiences, and you realize this is just one reality. People might call it a matrix or one dimension, and it's scary because that's why I say it's the rabbit hole. You can go a little bit all over the place, but you still have to stay grounded. And it's still really important to fulfill your purpose as a human being in this lifetime. Right, so today I am very pleased to introduce Je'Von Ikner, who's coming to me all the way from Texas in the USA. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Yeah, we just got our son ready. He's doing swim class, and so the family just left out. And I'm happy to be on this interview with you.
Yeah, it's your first interview, right?
It is, yes.
See, I got you first before everybody
Lucky.
starts talking to you. Okay, so Je'Von, again, I've always said this before, but I love it when men talk a lot about the spiritual consciousness, purposeful meaning side, because it means that a lot of your ego has calmed down, which men tend to have a lot,
Yes.
and now you're
Yes.
helping other men. But let's just go back a little bit so people know a little bit about you. So you worked on Wall Street for 4 years, right?
I did. Yes.
Did. And I heard that you said it was glamorous, but it wasn't fulfilling, right? So what was it that
Exactly.
led to that lack of fulfillment? When did you wake up one day and go, this is not for me?
You're not too far off. That's exactly what happened. So even just to back up a little bit, so I consider myself kind of a high profile athlete in high school.
I heard, yeah.
And yeah, and I did get a partial scholarship to go to play in college. And that did not turn out the way that I thought it was. I was so interested in keeping that sense of validation going and that sense of approval that I wanted to get like a high profile job. And so when a friend of mine told me about an opportunity down on Wall Street, I was like, great, yeah, I'll be the Wall Street guy and people will know me as, the guy down there on Wall Street doing it. And so that's what led me down to the Wall Street opportunity and down that path.
So
Right.
when did it hit you that this actually isn't doing it for me?
So yeah, after being down there for a couple of years and living that glamorous, glorifying life, I was making close to six figures as a 22, 23-year-old. Going out, living in the city, going out to all the fancy restaurants. I had all these fancy suits and I had a big time watch. By my means, I had arrived. This is like everything that I thought,
Yeah.
was going to bring me this, like, hi, I arrived. I had accomplished at that point, or at least I thought. And so 9/11 hit, and that is when things really shifted for me. Just being down there while all of that happened and knowing people that were here one day and gone the next.
Yeah.
It just gave the whole city, I think, an opportunity to slow down and to reflect. And I was never the same after that. I did stay down on Wall Street for an additional year or two. But I think during that time, I really slowed down and became a little bit more reflective on like, hey, what am I doing here? What is my purpose here and what do I want to accomplish? And as I began to have those thoughts, I started to look around at people that had been down on Wall Street for a long time. And they didn't look like they were full of life. And the faces just looked, very dry and not joyous and fulfilled.
Yeah.
And so one day I remember I was actually getting off the train and I was like, hey, I'm done. I am going to put in my 2 weeks. I can't take this anymore.
And when you made that decision, did you know what you were going to do next, or did you just say, I couldn't do this anymore?
I had no idea what I was going to do next. I know that I'd had a little bit of, I had a little bit of money to keep up my lifestyle for about 6 months or so. So I knew that I had some time to figure out, but I had no idea.
Okay. So then after that, well, going fast forward quickly, you went down the whole yoga, meditation, spiritual route. How did you go down that road from being on Wall Street?
I spent some time thinking about what I liked, what I enjoyed. And I knew that I'd always loved personal development. I'd always gravitated towards self-help books. And then I also liked, health and training and fitness. And so I was thinking about ways to make a living incorporating those things. And so an opportunity came up to go work for a company called Club Med. That year experience, I think, really sent me on a different trajectory. It was the first time I had been around people that were like, they were doing what they loved. They were making a living doing what they loved. And you're not paid the highest, salary working for Club Med. It's actually on the low end. But it didn't matter to these people. They seemed like that had no impact on their joy and fulfillment and zest for life.
I think that's the way I've always lived my life. And it's true, it's not always paid as well. But the joy of getting up and having a great day, then earning loads of money and being depressed every day, knowing what am I doing, is a waste of a life. It really, really is, you know. What was it you discovered the most? What were some of the most poignant things you discovered by going down this path about yourself as a man as well?
That's a really good question. I think a couple of the most vital pieces was that going within is it's a very arduous journey. It's not an easy journey, but it's so essential to creating the experience that is really important to me, is to understand my behavior patterns, to really connect to the essence of who I am, not the personality or the identity that, I go around trying to, reflect all day. And so I think those were the two pieces that.
Because I think this route that you take, it's like we've all been coming out of our program personalities, and really it's like you need to listen kind of, as I say, your soul, because that has the true answers and that knows your gifts that you're here to contribute to the earth,
Exactly.
Yeah. So you're now basically coaching, mentoring men as a man yourself, which is great. What are some of the obstacles, the most common ones that men come to you with? Because I know their obstacles and their journeys and responsibilities are very different to women too.
Yeah. I would say that the most common one is just this sense. It's like they've kind of checked off all the boxes. I've gone to school. I've worked my way up through the corporate world.
Yeah.
I have a wife and kids, yet there just seems to be something lacking. And most of the men that come to me don't quite understand why they feel this way, and they don't know where to start to experience that sense of fulfillment, to experience that sense of joy that just seems to be the backdrop to life. It's not based on the external circumstances that happen or don't happen.
Yeah. I think it is a very deep programming in men, more so than women,
Yes.
and it's not nice and it's not fair, and it is confusing. It's causing a lot of separation with divorces. It's affecting children as they grow up. So there is a massive shift within men considerably now, which I'm really, really happy about, because there's a lot of women out there doing empowerment groups, but I get really frustrated with that, because I'm like, the more you empower yourself as women, the more you're separating from the men who also need to come along with us. It's a team effort. There has to be yin and yang in the world. You can't just have it all women. And to make the world a better place, the men need to be just as empowered, for balance.
I agree.
So we both know that the spiritual route can be quite a deep rabbit hole if you don't know where to end. It's never ending, the search. And one thing that you tried, which I am still very nervous about doing, and I don't know if I really want to do it, and that's ayahuasca, because I think it can be quite scary. I've heard a lot of stories, but I want to know why you decided you wanted to do it, and what did you benefit from it?
I'd participated in psilocybin mushrooms before, and have had some of the biggest breakthroughs in my life. To this day, I say it is responsible for creating the shifts that have just really expanded my ideas and beliefs about why we are here and what we're doing here. And so I knew that ayahuasca had an even deeper way to present that to a person. And so I was like, oh yes. And so I'm in Austin, Texas now, and there is a group that is in the area that puts on these ceremonies from time to time. And I got connected with this group, and I decided to move forward with it. Completely scared, completely terrified.
I can imagine.
Had no idea what to expect. All I kept hearing was, Mother Ayahuasca will give you what you need, not what you want. And so, just go in there in a blank slate, just open to receive. During my first ceremony, I was just laying there, and I was having this feeling take over me, and the label of the feeling was unconditional love. And I started just opening up to this space of receiving, and I just felt my whole body feel this sense of acceptance without having to try to be received. And I'm sitting there, and there was a fellow participant in the ceremony that was laying next to me, and I just opened my eyes, and she's staring at me, and her face had started to shift into all the people in my life that have been willing to receive me unconditionally. And it'd been revealed to me that I had thought that I needed to do something, to be a certain way in order to receive their love. And so it was a beautiful moment, but at the same time, it was very sad, because these people that were presenting themselves for me, I did, all the people, it was like, yeah, I felt like I needed to show up as a certain individual to receive the love that they so wanted to just share with me unconditionally. So it was a really, really beautiful moment. In the second session, I'd wanted to get some clarity about, I'd owned a gym for 12 years, and I'd been feeling this calling to move away from that space and to go down this world of personal development. And so I wanted to get some clarity on that. And I was like, okay, Mother Ayahuasca, please show me the clarity and what's next for me. And as soon as I got into the journey of the medicine taking place, she had another idea for me, and she said, hey, your mother and your dog, you're not going to have very much time to spend with them in the earthly realms. And so your focus needs to be letting them know how much you appreciate everything that they represent in life. And so, 2 years later, now my mom and my dog aren't with me. And just, having that insight, it gave me 2 years to, create time with my mother and with my dog to share in a space where I wanted them to feel how much that I appreciated all that they had done for me, and I love them. And it was a very, very timely experience with the ayahuasca, and I'm grateful that I did have that insight.
Was that insight a knowing within yourself, or did you hear a voice saying it to you? Because there are different ways of getting these insights.
It was a voice and then an image, and the voice was, hey, I know you're want to get some insight on, the next career path, but there's something that's more important here. And I just had these visuals of my mother and my dog. And then the calling was to it was appreciation. Like, please show your appreciation for them. I think they both need that, to hear that from you, that you appreciate everything they've done. And I did have quite a bit of time to show that appreciation to both my mom and dog.
I feel that experience also shows you how the mind is so intuitive about what is coming up. There's a knowing that we've never tapped into too.
Yeah. I never thought of it from that standpoint.
Like I've had dreams that have actually come true the next day. And it just shows when your consciousness grows, you can tap into, there is no past or future. There's only now. So everything is happening now. So when you have a gut instinct, we do need to trust it. But our logical mind goes, oh, come on,
Yes.
and we've lost
Yes.
that. So I'm really glad that I think more than anything, that ayahuasca was calling you for that experience more than anything for your mom and your dad.
Yes. Yeah. And as you say that, I can't help but think that that is something that ayahuasca does. It's almost like it gives you access to this other dimension.
Totally.
And you're right. It is available to us if we can tune in.
We're just living in this one dimension.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
so much more. Like if you've heard of people astral traveling, I mean,
Yes.
I've had random experiences, and you realize this is just one reality. People might call it a
Yes.
matrix or one dimension. And it's scary because that's why I say it's the rabbit hole. You can go a little bit all over the place, but you still have to stay grounded. And it's still really important to fulfill your purpose as a human being in this lifetime, but have that spiritual connection too.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you on that for
And it's
sure.
tough. It's very tough.
It is tough, when I love Jesus's quote of being in the world, but not of it.
Totally. I live by that.
Yeah. But you're right. You're getting pulled so many different directions. There's so many external stimulus vying for your attention, trying to pull you off your place of centering and grounding. And it's part of the reasons I like the term warrior, because I do feel like you wake up in the morning and you are like a spiritual warrior, where you are going through the day, and you are honing in on trying to keep your centering and grounding. And
yeah. Well, the
it's not
things that
always
keep
easy.
me grounding right now, because of all the news, the social media, is conversations with like-minded people like you and nature. Those are the two main things that keep me grounded and not distracted by all the nonsense, which a lot of it can be nonsense out there, or fake news or conspiracies, whatever you want to say, because we're not being
Yeah,
told the whole truth. And you know the truth for you when you go within yourself.
that is,
So
yeah.
yeah. So let me ask you right now, you had that time during 9/11 where you had to go within yourself. Right now, I think there's a very big mass awakening going. And I think COVID has really made a lot of people go within themselves. It's part of a plan, a bigger plan. I do believe that. What would you say to a lot of men out there who are suddenly feeling that calling of, there has to be more to life than this? What is my purpose? Especially during a time when so many people are losing their jobs. They're worried about their future. Is there anything you can just guide them with?
Yeah. My first, invitation would be to get quiet, to cut out the distractions, and to really embody a place of reflection, stillness, and silence, because you are being called to shift, to recalibrate. And there's a message inside of you. There's a unique gift that you have access to. And when you connect to that, and when you begin to embody that that message and that sense of guidance, you gain some clarity on the next steps.
Yeah.
And those next steps are so critical. You deciding to connect with that and to move down a path that reflects that calling is so critical to shifting the planet into a more conscious place, into a more loving place. And so it's a blessing that you are waking up to this feeling. And I invite you to sit with that, and to not run away from it, and to get closer to it until that voice becomes a bit more audible and you get more clarity on the next step.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much. I know that we'll put your website on. So if people want to come to you, and especially if it encourages a lot of men to come to you, because I think it's nicer for them to talk to another man, we'll put your website on, and you can contact Je'Von Ikner anytime. He's in Texas. So he's 9 hours behind me in Dubai. So make sure you get the timings right. So thank you so much for joining me. And as your first interview, you did really well.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate this opportunity. It was fun.
Anytime. And I'm sure we will catch up again in a few months, because you know how it is on this route. More things, insightful things come to us. We learn more, we figure things more, and there's more to teach other people.
Absolutely. Absolutely.